want to pitch my group from the school. It's fabulous. I look around.
It's party. So good.
It really is. You, Susan. No. Not yet. Huh? No, 20. Hopefully, I don't think. We'll start talking. Talk loud.
All right, everybody, we're about to start.
Something very important is going to happen. Not. Oh, Eric told me not to say not anymore. That's not done.
And there's some seats up here if you want to sit down.
I wish I had more.
Who wants to sit here? Thank you, everybody, so much for coming. I'm Kristine Schomaker. I curated the exhibition. Carole invited me to participate, and I couldn't be more honored, and it was such a pleasure. As you all know Carole, so, so yes, and we're here to celebrate Carole. So we wanted this, of course my voice is already coming out. We wanted this to be a conversation about, yes.
How I saved my life.
Exactly. Let's start there. I mean, so the pandemic made me do it. I'm sure a lot of people kind of know the story, but how did this work start?
Oh my God. I was stuck at home. I have been an actor mostly through the years, and just picking up art again a few years before, every now and then. But I still was an actor, except the business didn't happen anymore, especially during the pandemic. And so I saved my own ass, actually. I knew that there were groups from meetup sessions that were offered to draw on your computer. And I live alone. I have a cat, which I never thought I would have, but I have. And so I'm saying that, not out of sympathy or anything, but when you're alone and you have nobody to talk to and the cat ain't working out that way, you start looking to other ways, or I did. And I could have very easily gotten very depressed. And instead I decided, I don't know what it is in me, some instinct, to find my way onto a session to draw people on Zoom. And that's what I began the journey doing for 3 years. We said about 3 times, 4 times a week. I must have been on 5 times a week, but only in Europe. It came through the meetup groups, but also I would find, I don't know how I found names of groups and all. I tried them out. Some of them were groups of 5-minute poses, 1-minute poses that didn't interest me. But the most I could really get, mostly was 25-minute poses. So I began to do a journey on Zoom through the pandemic for 3 years, many hours a day, drawing and painting. And it created a life for me and created a style for me, because when I was painting just before the pandemic, I was painting 3-hour poses. In fact, the pillows are more what I did. They were tighter paintings. Now they're thrown together in 25 minutes, and that's the best I can do, and okay. So that's my style now. And so yes, I saved myself through the pandemic by being an artist, and now the business is not going, oh my God, Carole, I need you constantly. So the acting business. So I am very happy to be part of the art world that Kristine is in, this is a joy for me and a privilege for me. Kristine is so incredible and knowledgeable in so many things, and the people she knows. So this sort of, you validate me. Thank you. Because when you haven't been in the world for years, you feel a little bit, I don't have an imposter thing, but I kind of feel like, oh, everybody's been doing it since they were young, and I dropped it since I was 20, more or less. I painted clothing, and I painted textiles, but that was like throwing drips and drabs on fabric. But this is now my kind of real painting, and here I am. And yeah, so.
And you had your own clothing line.
I had my own clothing line, and if you look at Punchline, my hand-painted jackets are on that. I took tuxedo jackets from Aardvark and started painting on them, and I ended up at a time of great prosperity in the 80s, where the industry bought a lot of my jackets and used it for a lot of films, and I would see it on people walking by or in restaurants. It was very exciting. It was very exciting. I was known as painting very classy clothes. I didn't paint cocktail glasses. I painted little flowery things and curlicues, and people liked it. So yeah, so I feel very proud of that. But it was nothing to prepare me for this, although I am very decorative. And what's happening now is I'm making stamps out of this foam stuff that kids use, and I'm using them in some of my paintings now. So I am getting decorative like I used to on textiles, but mostly I do this now.
Have you thought of painting these on clothing?
No, I have not. I think when I started painting on clothing, it was being done. I don't. Is it being done now? This gentleman here right now is a knowledgeable person and a talented person, and he paints clothing for the industry and for people of no name. So I didn't know it really was anything. I loved doing it. I would paint anything. I painted napkins. I painted lampshades. I taught decorative furniture painting at Santa Monica College, so if you had a piece of junky furniture, you paint that. And it was fun because if I was being made up for a television show, a woman would be looking at me going, I know, oh, you were my teacher in Santa Monica College, because creative people like to do other creative things, so it was fun. It was all like crossover. That's all pre-pandemic. Let's see what the world shows up now. It's so different. I don't know what's in store now.
So why international?
Oh, why international? Yeah. Okay, I decided that I just didn't want to paint waspy people that were pretty, which is what Americans would be putting on the websites. In fact, I even tried going on New Orleans because I thought, oh, people of mixed race and color will be on it. No. Nice, white, pretty people were on that too. So I knew that in Europe and in the UK, they were really doing stuff. Half the women on here are men, half the men are women. I'm not going to tell you which unless you ask. But they were adventurous. The facilitator of one of the sessions I went on in Manchester would have people costumed, and so she had this person dressed that way, and then there's a woman who looks like a Lautrec person bent over. So she did very adventurous things, or close-ups of pubic hair. I mean, she did everything crazy, and it was fun. And again, they were much more adventurous in the way they presented themselves. So I have never stopped going to the UK, Manchester, London, Perth, Australia, I love there, Buenos Aires, and Barcelona. Those are pieces. I went to other places too, but I eliminated because I didn't want to draw or paint 1 or 2 minute poses. Most of these, though, are really 25-minute poses or less. I had to change my whole style to accommodate it.
When you say you go there, did you go there via Zoom?
On Zoom.
And you found all these international...
All these groups are on, you can all find them still. Some of them are still happening. And
through Meetup?
They started through Meetup, some of them. Or they have their own websites. If you put in, a drawing bodies or whatever in Barcelona.
What about the language barrier for the class, or was there?
There's no problem. I mean, everybody speaks English. That facilitates it, even though, they also speak, like Barcelona, he's a Spanish-speaking person, but he's a graphic designer, and he runs this wonderful session on Sundays, and that's called, Life Drawing Barcelona, I think that one's called. Yeah, and the other is called London Drawing. Those are 2 ones that I go on. London Drawing is most of the portraits, actually. She gets wonderful people to pose. I love that crazy looking guy with the red hair down there. He's more of a caricature. And you get faces like that and I go, oh, God bless you for that. That is not what I wanted from the United States. And they're more adventurous, I hate to say it.
Now, because it was international, were you drawing at all times of day?
Yes, and my problem is if I wanted to draw on one session, I actually had to do it 5 o'clock in the morning. The one I do on Saturdays is 8 o'clock in the morning. Now I stay with that. That I can handle. But yes, the hours are different. In the UK, it's all different.
In Australia?
at Australia. I'm not with Australia anymore. I love her. She wrote me and said, "Oh, please put it on Zoom, the facilitator." And I said, "No, it's not going to happen." And she
put it
was,
on YouTube.
yeah, and it was such fun with her because she would be the facilitator. I loved her. She would say, "Hi, everybody. Listen, the model isn't here anymore today, so I'm it." And she'd strip and then she'd pose. That's how comfortable they are in the UK. And so it was wonderful, and I miss her. I love her, and I love some of these people, and I've never met them. I know them for 3 years, you know, especially the facilitators. Two women and one guy I really love. I did meet one person who came over, who was one of the people in Manchester, and that was lovely, and we loved each other. So that was great. Yeah, it's been a wonderful journey. I feel like I know these people when I paint them. I feel like I know the people that paint. It gave me a world, you know, that I could have not had if I had sat there and cried and watched TV. I did sit there and I did not exercise and I put on 30 pounds and drank a lot and ate a lot, but I did become a better artist, so.
For me, it was British murder mysteries. So I was in the UK also.
Were you?
So you used to do live drawing at Barnsdale Art Park in person.
Yes.
What was the difference between in person and
very
on Zoom?
different. First of all, it was a pain in the ass to everybody there because I would sit so up close to the model because I wanted to look into them, and everybody is back painting. So that was, first I used to have to fight my way to be able to sit in front of everybody or stand in front of everybody. But it was 3-hour poses, and you would come in and pay for the 3 hours, and they would give you a model. And sometimes I'd walk in and go, "I don't like this model," and I'd walk out and wouldn't paint them. That's one of the things, if I don't resonate with somebody, I don't want to paint them. That was the other thing too. I can't remember too often anybody that didn't show up that I didn't want to paint in Europe. But somehow at Barnsdale I'd walk in and go, "I can't stand this guy." And I just walked out. So that, and it's 3 hours. So my painting style is, again, the pillows, very tight, very different. This forced me, I use a big painter's brush. I buy the bristle brushes, they get creepy and crappy, and I paint with wall paint, you know, I use wall paint. And I just throw the stuff on and hope for the best. I draw with a brush too, I don't draw anything before.
And I know you started on your computer, but then switched it to your
Yes,
TV.
we're mirroring. We were laughing about that because people go, "What's mirroring?" Well, for an old person, this is amazing. I know mirroring. I learned, somebody taught me how to do it. I was sitting in my bedroom, in my little bedroom. I have a little apartment first in the beginning, and that was the beginning of it, the black and white drawings. I'd sit there and look in the computer, and these were people on meetings that I attended or play readings in different places, and I draw with a ballpoint pen. Then I decided I can't just sit here like this. I started doing pastel, and then I was choking on pastel dust. This is all in my little bedroom. So I learned to mirror, which means I could take the image from my computer and put it in on my television set, which I don't have one of those giant screens. I have 25 or something, but it's still bigger than my computer. I'm not on a laptop. I have a Mac Mini, but still. So I have a bigger image now, and in front of it was my easel. I had planned before the pandemic to be hiring people to come into my apartment. I bought lights, and I was going to paint people of my choice. And then the pandemic came, and so here I am with this. So I went into my living room. I got rid of all my furniture in my living room. I have no more living room and dining room. It is completely a studio. The floor is covered with matting. It's disgusting, and I love it. And my children walk in and go, "I can't believe you're living this way." Right, children? I have 3 children here.
Agreed.
But they cope with mommy. The new phase of mom. Mommy was an actress, now mommy's an artist, so they're going through all these things. So yeah, so that's what I did. I learned how to mirror my image onto a television screen. So now I'm getting, the last one I did, or near the last, was that woman who looks Toulouse-Lautrec, and I'm getting bigger and bigger in my images. I don't know how big I can go. I mean, I'm using cardstock, and it's 40 inches, so that's about how big I can go right now. I'm not using canvases anymore. I did only But I can't. I'm doing 25-minute poses. What am I going to do with canvases, stretch canvases? As it is, these are in portfolios, taking over my world.
So, which is a perfect segue about the show. Like, you know, we met a few months ago. I went to your apartment and it was great. I got like, I was cornered. I was like in the middle of a bin, or of the portfolio, the cardboard portfolios and drawings. It was amazing. It was amazing. And you're like, wait, in this portfolio I have this and this and this. And then we started organizing. And then since then, you have just been out. I mean, you have like, she came in so organized with her cardboard portfolios, you know, large male nudes, large female nudes, large portraits, large, you know, black and whites. And I mean, and it was great. It made it so easy. But what was the process for you of like, well, and I know it's different for you going through the work in your apartment and then of course coming here, and I know you had a reaction. I saw you when it was on the walls.
Well, this has been a very challenging experience for me. Without going through a whole story, my childhood did not prepare me for such generous, excited. This big event is not part of my life story, and so I had to work through this kind of a thing. I want to tell how this happened because it really was amazing. I have a friend that I went to high school with. We went to music and art together in New York City, and we would travel from the Bronx. I lived in a place called Parkchester, which kind of looks like La Brea Apartments, only giant buildings and many acres. And we would travel from there to Harlem, which music and art was in, and we had the most wonderful time, and we lost track of each other. She had been on Facebook unbeknownst to me, and then I saw her name. And I think I wrote her or called her or something, and she started raving about my art, and she said, you should have a one-person show. You should show all these faces. I didn't know she was following, and I said, yeah, well, that's not gonna happen. I said, I am one person in a show of 100 people if I'm lucky. She said, no. And she sent me the most generous check and said, get a place, do a show. I got nauseous. Again, that's not part of what I can accept easily, I'm admitting. And I almost sent it back, and I cried a lot and said, no, I'm gonna work through this bullshit, and I did. And it still brings up things for me. But I did it, and she has not seen it. I have not seen her in years and years and years. I will. She lives in I was saying Van Nuys, in Las Vegas now. She moved from Florida there, and I'm gonna see her somehow. But she's my age, which is old, and she's married for that long to somebody, and these people are lovely, and they did this for me. And it was a very big deal for somebody to do this for me. I can't believe it, actually, still. And it's funny because she doesn't want to hear too many thank yous, so I'm gonna just have to write something to her, and she's gonna have to just read it. From my heart, because every time I start going on and on, she goes, I don't want to hear it. I said, okay. So I haven't called her in the past 2 days, but it will happen. And here I am doing this event, and the most wonderful thing of all is I'm getting to see people that I love and haven't seen. We have a group of women here. We started the school together. My little boy of 49 years old was a very little boy once at this school. And the mamas, and the beautiful mamas are here. And we shared all those years together. And then wonderful people are in this. So many aspects of my life are here. And people I haven't seen because of the pandemic, and some people I just wanted to be here. I have people from my acting world that you live far away and you came down here and bought a beautiful piece, and I'm thrilled. And those two wonderful ladies, we do acting together, so it covers everything here. And my children have shown up to be amazing. I've been a pretty flaky, crazy, eccentric mother, but I must have done something right because my kids have been so remarkable in helping me to put this together. I am astounded. My daughter came down from Goleta with her fabulous husband, my son and his wife, and I mean, just my other son. It's just amazing. So everything has shown up for me. I still haven't absorbed it all. It still will stay with me for a while before it all sinks in. I'm always delayed in my emotions. Not always. As an actor, it's available, but as a real person, most of my life I spent thinking, oh my God, I think I'm upset. Okay, 2 years later, I'll cry. You know, so that's kind of how I do it. So I still have that coming with this. And this woman really made me see that this was worthy of something, because you are my good housekeeping stamp of approval. She's incredibly knowledgeable and talented and has a following of people that respect her, and I do too. She has a wonderful show called Perceive Me, which is amazing, and I was able to participate in a small way with that. So I admire you enormously, and the fact that she thought this was worthy of putting things up, because I can friend them. You know, I do friend them. When I'm in a show and I get chosen, which doesn't happen a lot, you get turned down, just like acting. You're too short, you do this, you do that, it doesn't look right. You have to get used to being turned down in the arts. It's lucky when you get chosen, but if you get turned down, if you get chosen, I have to frame my work, and it has to be framed in a particular way. And then you pay, by the way, when you get into a juried show, you have to pay to get into the show or not get in. You still have paid. And it can go anywhere from $35 to $60. I don't have that kind of money anymore. So I have to be very careful. And I was getting so upset because I was paying and even getting in, but if you don't sell your piece, I've now spent $120 to frame with something, and I'm here. So I'm in the show, you know. Where do I do with this painting? I live in a small apartment. So this wasn't framed, and the fact that Kristine thought it would work this way. And then my friend, actually she spoke about, like my friend did, your paintings should all be up at one time. So they are. And I still have about 100 pieces in the house. We stuck a few more in the holes because we had sold quite a few yesterday, and so we stuck a few in the holes that you hadn't chosen.
That's okay.
I wasn't being defiant, I just said I like these two.
No, the more we could sell.
I also I will say this, I made them very cheap because I really had too much art. I have to get rid of them. I have no place. They're in these portfolios. So I'm gonna continue to paint because it nourishes me, you know, and I'll probably put myself in a show or two, but I don't know what's gonna happen. I invited people, I had nerve, I guess. I invited people in the interior design business. I said, you know, I paint with a certain kind of panache, and I used to be in that business, and I used to supply, and I did. I supplied NSID people with lampshades and things. I said, so my stuff is decorative, maybe you can come see it. Anybody here, I don't think, from there, but I'd like to promote that a little bit. I don't know how I can, but I'm going to get more and more into my art because the acting, they're not screaming for me to appear.
So before I open it to questions,
They
talking
don't
about, like thinking about acting and versus being an artist, and you kind of touched on it. You know, when you're acting and you know apply for a role and you're rejected, like you said, it's could be you're too tall, you're too short, you're too big, you're too small. So many reasons. And as an artist, I haven't had that experience.
Yeah.
But as an artist, being rejected, you feel it personally because it's your art. You're putting yourself out there. Is there a difference for you?
Yeah, it's worse as an actor because it's your whole person that's being rejected. Even though you know that you were 2 inches too short, or maybe they were going to go with an Asian person, or who knows what the story is. But I do know that now. Nonetheless, there have been some wonderful jobs that were almost, or I had a job that was, this is a funny story. I got a job where they asked me, you don't have to audition, you played a part on the show, we want you now to do something really important every week to play the owner of something on a show. So I was so excited, I came back and I saw all the stars and I said, I'm back. And I did the show, and then they called my agent and they said, we love her, but we don't want to develop a character in that setting, so we're not going to do it. So I had my son watch it. I said, I can't stand this. They're going to replace me with a 22-year-old skinny woman. And they didn't. What they did is every show they would go, well, goodbye, I'm coming back, or whatever it was. So that's how they got rid of the character. But I took it like I already saw my parking spot on this lot. I'm back in the business. I'm established again because I once did a series. And and then you don't, and then you're nobody. It's worse. Acting's worse because you can have such accolades and then you know. So yeah, and those are the moments that come up that you go, oh my God, I almost this, I almost that. I mean, it was crazy, you know, how they replace you and say, nah, we don't want to do that character. But it was funny, my poor son was watching for me.
Well, and then you go to painting and art, and, you know, and you're putting yourself out there even more. I mean,
It is another way, but
way.
it's not the same.
And, yeah.
It's not, it's still my art, and I don't like getting not in things. Last year I don't put myself out a lot now, to be honest. Financially, I don't have a lot of money anymore, so that's just have to live my life differently. And again, I'm careful about putting my money out. I did put myself out for the brand. I got so excited I got it out last year. That was like, I'm the brand. Well, now this year I'm not the brand. You know, I decided I'm going to put myself up for the brand again. No. So that's, you know, that's what happens. It's, yeah, they're both arenas that are very creative and give us a chance to express ourselves in a way that regular human beings cannot. And I am blessed that my life is filled with all these avenues. I have certainly lived a very interesting life that I put my children through, from painting this to doing that, you know, and here I am. And in a new arena, really, you know, I didn't start acting till I was about 36, 37, and I didn't really start painting until about 10 years ago. So I come to things later, and I have to get comfortable about that. You know, as I said, I don't suffer from the imposter thing, but everybody's been doing it a long time. So this is amazing that I'm having this, thanks to my friend. Yeah. So.
Well, one of the things that, you know, and just for me to end it here, or before we open it up to questions, is, you know, it takes a very strong woman to go from acting, from the vulnerability of acting, to the vulnerability of being an artist. And you have done it with Nash.
Thank you.
You know,
I just my survival. You know, as a kid, I had to survive in a certain way due to circumstances. And I became a person that had to keep going. If I was going to be alive still, and I'm very blessed to be really old and really alive. I hate that I have this now, but the rest of me is 40. This is my real age. Yeah. So it's very difficult aging, but I have to say, thank God I'm still here. And so I just need to survive. And if I'm going to be here old, I am going to be doing as much as I can to make life interesting. I read plays. I have wonderful people here that we read plays on Thursday night, on Zoom. Tuesday night, we can pick a play and read something there. I do readings of other plays in person. I do web series. I'll do things just to keep me creative and busy. Occasionally in a commercial, but still, yeah, I'll just keep on doing it. It's something that I can't help. I had to, being how I started out in life and what I was exposed to. I remember I didn't consciously say it. I am going to make a life for myself with a lot of aliveness. Yeah. So here I am alive.
All right, questions? Oh, one in the back.
So I understand you have 100 more pieces.
Maybe 150.
Actually, I asked your son this question because it's a good question, so I thought I'd. So, how did you choose which pieces to bring? She brought them all.
If you want to look in my trunk, you'll find out.
No, then there are 100 more at home.
She brought them all.
This woman.
We
I
had
trusted her.
tables. We had tables spread out, and the portfolios opened up. And I just started. I mean, I had seen a lot of them before when I went to visit her, and so I knew there were some in my mind that I liked. And then I kind of just played with color. You know what figures were facing certain ways, or what colors worked better together. And that was kind of it.
And then she also helped. We had a guy come and help hang them, but bless her, she knew where to put all these things in pieces.
Well, I didn't want to be here for hours. I'm very good at being efficient and organized, and I'm like, okay, let's go. And we got it done in 2.5 hours. So.
Robin, another Robin. This is the other Robin.
So why did you choose the wall of house painter?
Oh, that's of an artsy, boring story. I started with oil when I started painting again, when I was in Santa Barbara, and I knew I wasn't going to do oil in my apartment. I mean, especially because I love working bigger and bigger and bigger. So I went to acrylic. I do not like acrylic paint. The example, if you have a red wall paint and you have a red artist's acrylic red paint, one is screaming at me and the other one is killed, because in every wall paint, is there a bit of white or something that brings the color down? There's something that kills some of the screens so that you can put it up on your wall and live with it. That very nature of wall paint, I adore. Now I get the colors as I love them, then I mix them, but not as much as I would if I had tubes of paint. And to be honest, I don't want to mix colors. I want to just today I'm going to paint red, blue, yellow, and orange or whatever. And then maybe I'll run and get another color, but that's how I work, right out of the jar. And it dries instantly, and I've gotten very used to that. Sometimes it's limiting, and it has a look to it that isn't the way oil paint is. I still have this illusion that I'm going to do in imaginative landscapes done in oil. I don't know if this is going to happen, but the other artists, maybe some other life, will do that. But this is now wall paint slapped up with a wall paint brush, and that's why I use it. I love the color on my eye. I can't stand it. And I do use acrylic glue in a bottle of liquid, and I draw with a brush. I don't draw anything preliminary. I just draw with a brush, which is why you see outlines. When I took a class in Santa Barbara, they said to me, "Oh, you don't paint that way. You cannot." They had such rules. You cannot outline. You have to build it up, and then if you have a highlight and it's a flesh tone, it should be a light version of it. And I wanted to make it turquoise, and the flesh tone was yellow. Oh, we don't do that. So I had to really break away from, and I was an adult, but I still was like, really? Is that what you do? So I listened to it for a while until I finally said, wait a minute. And so now I'm doing what I want to do, and it took me all these years to be able to be decorative with my stamps and paint a body any color I feel like, yellowy color, that wasn't his color. Yeah, I love painting people of color because there's so many fabulous colors in skin that is brown, but not really. Oh my God. So that pleases me no end. But yeah, I'm looking into the
You
question.
do you. We have a question over here and then one over here. Go ahead.
The portrait drawing. Portraits, do you ever think about just drawing from your experience as an actor, the characters that you're painting? Because there's so much character.
No, I look within that person. The thing about Zoom that's marvelous is I don't have to move up close like I did in Barnstable, where I bothered everybody by looking up and everybody was behind me hating me. This camera, Zoom, this is the way the camera showed me this person or that person. It was amazing. In London, every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, these faces are looming on my screen. So I just look into the eyes of these people. I don't do anything from acting, nor photos, nor from my memory or anything. I wish I were that way sometimes, but I say that to Sebastian. I wish I were from my imagination, because this wonderful artist over there does. But I need to look at a person's face, and I guess it's all because, maybe I was an only child and I liked looking into the faces of a lot of people. Who knows what reasons? But I have chosen this as being my favorite subject. Although in Santa Barbara, the landscape was so beautiful, I did love it. Here, if I want to do landscape, I can go to a park and meet up with the homeless, and I don't think that's a good idea. So I don't do landscapes here.
Was there a question back here?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. And then
It's a process question. You mentioned the 25 minutes thing a couple
Yes.
times. And I know they say that Picasso was so good because no one to walk away. So do you like the challenge of the 25
I
minutes?
do.
You do?
It's a scary challenge. It feels like when I'm ready to try and grasp something, I get exhilarated in a scary, fun way because I don't know if I'm going to get it. And I work now with big brushes, and I don't know if I can get the nuances, but I'm scaring myself more and more, and it's more fun. I don't know. There are a lot of bad paintings that you're not seeing here. If it's 2 hours and there's only 5, 10, 15, 25-minute poses. There's a lot of poses that are on a pile that I paint over. Underneath some of these are old paintings, a lot of old paintings. I mean, I get maybe one out of a whole 2-hour session that I really love, maybe 2. You
I
know,
always say we need to paint the bad paintings in order to get to the good paintings.
I guess, but I also get to save the paper. So I like that too. Nancy.
Two questions. Do a lot of artists use wallpaper, wall
Paint?
colors? Paint?
No,
I've never heard of this.
they do. I mean, there are.
It's just different. Pollock. Jackson Pollock used to tell me.
He did? And
Yeah, absolutely.
I wasn't aware of that. And it dries quickly. But
Quicker than acrylic.
when you set up your paints, do you have different colors in different jars?
Yeah, that's how I buy them.
You buy them in jars?
Yes.
Not
From
as-
those wonderful women back there. Those are my jar mixing people. You will find them at Home Depot. And I love that they came here and they're always there. And I love them. And they're here. It's a lot to me.
So they're glass jars?
I know, they're plastic and I go, I like this color, this color, this color, this color. I'll buy those today. And then I buy them. And then I test them in samples to see if I like them. And if I like working with them, I graduate to the next size up. But I am running out of space now for the next size up.
Do you have them mix the colors together?
Well, they mix if I pick a certain blue,
You
they
sell
mix that blue for me.
On the swatches, is that what you?
No, I see the swatch and I'll go to them and say, this, they'll do custom for me too, but that's difficult. I'd rather use the colors that exist. So I pick out a swatch and say, here, can you please make this for me? And they make me a sample, very little investment, and I paint with it. And if I love the color, then I go to the next size up. But I use little jars of it all the time. I even take the big paint and put it in the little jars. And they all sit there. I will choose, about 4 or 5 colors before a session. I also prepare every piece of paper with a color. And I never know what colors I'm gonna grab. I have a pile, all different sizes, all different shapes, and all different colors. And then I will just, if I look at a model, I suddenly think, maybe I'll pick the green one and start picking on green and doing that one or blue. None of them are usually just white. I like painting a ground of something on them. It stimulates me that way. So, yeah. Did I answer you something? Yeah.
Any other
well,
questions? Sure, go.
You haven't spoken about the florals back there, and I was wondering if you
Oh, the florals. I love flowers. I painted flowers at one time and it sold 1 million flowers. My children have always said to me, Mom, paint landscape flowers and stars and dogs and cats. You'll make money. Of course, I don't want to do that. I want to paint what I want. But I started, because people do love flowers, I started painting flowers. I love painting flowers, but not painting flowers. So I have my little group of flowers that I'm not doing the same way either. The flowers that I used to paint were like 4 hours. I would sit there and paint these flowers. They were done very differently. This is done also very quickly. I'm now in this kind of mode. So they're different. They're also very different. But some people don't want to look at faces. You know, some people resonate. I had people yesterday see something in a face that I never saw, and they love it and bought it and said, I love this face. I want to live with this face. I said, great. So yeah, and the faces, interestingly, that I thought people would choose, which were safer ones, were not, you know. Yeah, I have 2 women up here, which everybody loved on Facebook, and they're lovely, lovely looking women. I thought those would be gone. They're not. And people with more character and more angst and more emotion were sold. So it's interesting. So, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so you connect with your subjects, right? When you're
I look at them deeply. I spend more time than most of the people who are drawing, ever. If I have 40 minutes left, it's supposed to be a 16-minute session for Barcelona. It isn't, because I have to take at least 10 minutes to look at a model and set up my colors and all. So I spend maybe 30 to 40 minutes painting. But I spend the first minutes taking a lot of time to look at what I have in front of me and who the people people are, how I feel about them, what colors I think they are about for me, and that's how I choose everything.
So they're so expressive, and there's a lot saying.
They're
There's
very
a lot
expressive.
behind their eyes. When you're done, do you ever say, "Hey, are you okay?" Or
No, because
some of them are so.
no, because that's the way people. If any one of you posed for me, you wouldn't be smiling cheerfully. You get quiet, you shut down, and you start to think about things. Now, some of it can take you to peaceful things, and some of it can take you to sorrowful things. That's what you get here, because you're not going to go like this. It's 20-minute sessions if you do a longer pose. So for 20 minutes, you're not going to go like that. It's not going to happen. So people, one man I wanted, in fact, they did a drawing of him on there, and I love him. And I said I wanted to paint him when I met him, and he says, well, I want to be painted with a smile. I said, it's not going to happen. So, and now he came to the show yesterday, and he saw, I said, you can't smile for 20 minutes. And I'm not going to do it 25. I will do 25-minute sessions, maybe 3 of them I would do if I painted somebody. And I don't do commissions because you can see that no, you can't see, but the models, I exaggerate. Whatever it is, I pump it up a little. Not consciously and not cruelly, but if somebody's nose is bulbous, I make it more bulbous. If there's a swoop to a chin, I give them a swoopy chin. Somebody wanted me to paint them, and they had a lot of facelift, and I didn't want to do it, so I didn't tell them. And so that's why I don't do commissions. It scares me unless they really know they're going to get. If I were famous, Alice Neal is a painter that I adore. Her show has been here in town. I'm going to look at it again. I adore it. So I don't know if it's still, Mariette, is it still going on? We went and saw it. She was almost cruel to the people she painted, but wonderful. And she became famous in her older years, and she was a painter in New York of the intelligentsia. And some stars, but mostly the people that ran colleges and ran the city. And she was not kind, but they knew her work. They wanted her work. I don't, not enough people know what I do. So I'm afraid to do commissions because I won't make you beautiful or young. My darling.
My darling.
She is my darling.
I feel that you are so inspiring. You are so inspiring. You're relentless. The relentlessness is powerful. And I think it's important in this world. I think that you say yes and you say now. And I so admire that. And I thank you for being part of that people who say yes, yes, yes.
It took me a long time.
Thank you.
Really, I never knew what I felt, and I never said yes to a lot of people. I said no to a lot of people, and it has
But
changed.
you say yes to yourself.
Myself, yes,
And that's-
I do.
And that's the powerful
Yeah, that's interesting. Yes, I did. I have done that many times. She's been through my painting table linens, my painting lampshades, my painting clothing. This woman has seen all the painting rocks. I painted rocks, clothing, lampshades, tablecloths, silk scarves,
I think you're inspired.
all with kosher salt.
I'm actually surprised you don't have any paint on your clothing.
Oh, I do on everything.
I know. I have paint on my pants.
Ask my kids. They go, Ma. My children know about that.
Any last
I have
questions?
anything. You know all my answers. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, so much for coming.
I really want to.
Well, enjoy it. Like smart.